Welcome to the most prolific, dedicated, consistent, almost 30,000, and, you know, I'm really confused here. The Iceman here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel. What's up, everybody? Tonight I'm doing a video about basically about professional wrestling in general, really. I just want to talk about a couple things here first. We're talking about Payback and what Daniel Bryan's going to do with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt. Well, as I've read in the last couple days, Brie wants to start a family with Daniel, so she's looking to have children. So this is the perfect out for her to get fired from Stephanie McMahon to leave WWE TV and basically really start a family. Obviously, if you're pregnant, you can't be wrestling in the ring. So this was a good way to get her off WWE TV. And this is also a good way for Daniel Bryan to hold on to that WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt, which he should do. A few other things, a lot of people are talking about the lost money in the WWE and whatnot, and really, and why isn't Vince really trying to do anything about it? The guy is going to be like 69 years old really soon. He was a genius in his heyday. Maybe the man just wants to live life. If you think about this, the man's been involved in wrestling since he was very, very young, when his dad owned the company, and then when he took over and, made it big, after, he had, I believe he got the company in, 82, 83, and then things started happening, had WrestleMania 85, and then everything developed from there on. And he has put his heart and soul into the company. Now, this is 2014. You're talking like 83, 85. If you go from 85 to 2014, figure out the numbers, guys. I mean, really, 29 years, and he probably just wants to live his life. It's unfortunate that he's not hands-on as much as he used to be, and we do see the outcome of that because the ratings have dropped and whatnot. But I do think that they will find a way to come back and whatnot. But now this is the time for all the other promotions to really try to make a move, to try to impress a lot of people to get more viewership, because with the WWE lacking in, their product, if other promotions, try to excel with theirs, you get more viewership, maybe possibly away from the WWE. But you're always going to have your WWE fans no matter what. So, but anyway, yeah, it's I was just watching Starrcade '96 from WCW, and I watched that today, and every match on there was given a lot of time. I mean, for a Starrcade, it wasn't the best as far as the stars you could have had on this pay-per-view, because this Starrcade was the WCW's biggest pay-per-view of the year. Hogan and Roddy Piper main evented, but it was not for the belt. And I think the reason why that was is they wanted Hogan on the show, and Roddy Piper's always defeated Hulk Hogan, and they kept that streak going. But they by wanting to keep that streak going, obviously they couldn't have the belt on the line. It would have been a huge thing if Roddy Piper ever won the belt from Hulk Hogan, but this was a pay-per-view that began the turn of the Giant to turn face. Eddie Guerrero and DDP had such a great match. The Giant and Lex Luger had such a great match. But this isn't about, that pay-per-view. But my point is, watching that pay-per-view reminded me, how great wrestling was back when you had a lot of competition. This was '96, grant you. And of course, it was a WWF back then with what they were doing. WCW was always my favorite promotion back since the Crockett's owned them when they were NWA, because I saw so many just great things come out of there. I mean, I was a big Rock and Roll Express fan. I liked the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. Um, there was just a lot of good things. The Four Horsemen, the originals, Ole and Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair. These were the days. Um, but, you know, and I don't regret, how things are now, because it's a different time, a different era. And it just makes me wonder, you know, I honestly think that as far as people wanting to get involved in professional wrestling, I think it's lessened. Um, because back in the 80s and 90s, there was like, you could not count the amount of superstars that there were. I mean, there was tons and tons of superstars. I mean, you could count like 50 names, and they all were really great stars. Nowadays, you can't. You you come nowhere near it, and so times have changed, and I understand that, and it's for me it's sad, but I want to say this: I am blessed with the fact that I grew up with the opportunity to see all this great wrestling, the AWA wrestling, the NWA wrestling, um, the WCW wrestling, the WCCW wrestling, the WWF, the WWF, the WWE, um, TNA, Ring of Honor, uh, PGW, Pro Guerrilla Wrestling, or however you want to call it, um, CCW. Um, it it's been a real good experience, and being a wrestling fan throughout the years, I have seen a lot of things come and seen a lot of things go. And that's what, I really feel like I've been blessed, because being a big fan of professional wrestling, um, I've got to see it all. You know, I've had a lot of favorites throughout the years. Um, my first biggest favorite wrestler was Ric Flair. I loved the Four Horsemen. I loved Ric Flair on the mic. He always was surrounded by the women. He had the flashy robe, uh, and the Four Horsemen. And he was my biggest fan back in the 80s, without a doubt. Um, I started to like Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan became big in the WWF, but I was still more of a Ric Flair fan. And there was a lot of other guys, that I did like, but not as much. I thought Bret Hart was a great wrestler, and then I liked when Shawn Michaels went into singles competition and became on his own. And then when he was with Sensational Sherry, I thought he was a very cocky SOB, but I liked him, you know. But at the time, still, I was still a Ric Flair fan. And, we get into the 90s, and, you know, when the NWO started in WCW, I liked Scott Hall. I didn't like Kevin Nash really until he went to the NWO Wolfpack. But I always did like him. I liked him as Diesel in the WWF, but I liked Bill Goldberg. I thought the streak was really cool. He became really big, and Macho Man was another one of my favorites. I mean, I think he was totally underrated in the wrestling world. He should be in the Hall of Fame, and maybe someday he will be. And then Steve Austin, The Rock. Um, Loved watching those guys. And in this present day, I mean, for me, I like John Cena. I know a lot of people say he's boring and whatnot, but I like John Cena. I just think I like what he does for wrestling. I like what he does on the outside. Um, he's not just a wrestler; he is an ambassador uh, for wrestling, and he does a lot of things for kids on the outside. Like the Make a Wish and whatnot. And there's, it's just come a long way, and it's it's been a real great experience for me to watch since the first day I started watching wrestling with my mom. That's sort of funny because she's the one who first started watching wrestling, and I remember watching Bruno Sammartino when he was the WWF champion, and I remember seeing Tony Garea and Tito Santana, Ivan Putski, the Polish Power, Superstar Billy Graham, Ken Patera. A lot of people probably don't even know who they are, but those were the days, and you know, I've come a long way and seen a lot of wrestlers, and it's been very, very fun. And the thing that really bothers me the most is I think wrestling is starting to die. And regardless, Ring of Honor is flourishing, so great, and I love watching Ring of Honor. I watch it whenever I can, but it seems like the WWE is they've peaked a long time ago, and they're sliding down. And if there was another young Vince McMahon, he'd be there to pick it up. I don't think Stephanie and Triple H are the people to do it, but um, if it continues to fall like it has been, there still is Ring of Honor. Um, I really can't say a lot about TNA. They're trying, and I'm waiting for Global Force Wrestling with Jeff Jarrett. But I've been blessed for all these years of watching some great wrestling, um, some great talent come and go, great characters, great gimmicks, and whatnot. So, for a lot of you younger people out there, if you never got to see any of the 80s wrestling from the Crockett promotion or AWA, go check it out because you're really missing out on some great wrestling. I mean, AWA had Nick Bockwinkel, you had Jerry Lawler, uh, Kurt Hennig was in AWA, Eddie Gilbert, Ray the Crippler Stevens. I mean, there was just so many guys. It was just so much. It was so much fun to watch. So, but anyway, I've talked long enough. But I just want to talk about wrestling in general from when I first started watching it to the present day now. So, um, it is what it is. Times are changing, and we really have to go along with the times. So, peace out, everybody. Have a great night. TNA is on tonight, this Thursday. See you later.